What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Rocket Live. Thank you all so much for joining us here live today in the Rocket Virtual Studios. I appreciate each and every one of you who tune in live whenever we do the show on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Central Time. And today we have another wonderful and amazing guest in the virtual studio today, all locked and loaded and ready to spend some time with everybody today. Say a quick hello to everybody who's watching this on Facebook, LinkedIn. What do we got? YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us today. Also, please make sure if you're listening to the audio version of this that you hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening to this. So that way you get notified every single time we drop a new episode of the audio version. And if you're over on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that way you get notified every single time we drop a new episode and every time we go live on the live stream. Now, before we get into it, I just want to thank a couple sponsors who are so generously supporting the show as we go along here. So first off, I want to thank podcast marketing coach Carrie Zarb, carriezarb.com. And so really what it comes down to is this. If you're trying to grow your audience and you're trying to get just more engagement on your podcast, and maybe you're stuck and you're just, you're trying to get out there more, or maybe you already have an audience, but you're looking to take it to the next level and you're just feeling a little stuck. Well, carriezarb.com from Carrie Zarb podcast marketing coach. She's got it all figured out for you. So just head over to carriezarb.com/simple or carriezarb.com. And there you can get a hold of her 7 days of simple podcast marketing, podcast marketing planner, and the ultimate podcast and marketing planner. So once again, head over to carriezarb.com/simple and you get access to all the things that she's got going on as far as podcast marketing goes. And also would like to thank our other sponsor, which is WinLocal. And let me tell you something about WinLocal. WinLocal is, and if you follow me on LinkedIn, you're seeing me rant and rave all about WinLocal. And this is one of the coolest networking tools that I have got in my arsenal right now. And this is basically all you need. You may still want to use business cards and all that, and that's cool. But this is just taking things at a whole next level of creating that instant engagement with somebody. So you basically have a digital business card here, and you can use it in 3 ways. You can have this little share card here that you can tap, and then it brings your information right up. There's a QR code on there as well. And you can also send, someone can send a text and you can get all your information. You can completely customize the screen, put all the links to all your contact information. And what makes it even cooler is that not only can people receive your contact information, but you can receive yours as well. Keeps it all digital, so no more handwriting and misspelling anything and sending emails that get sent back to you or trying to find someone's LinkedIn profile. It's all right there and all easy to connect. So if you want to get your own version of the WinLocal, make sure you head over to winlocal.com. You can sign up using my promo code ROCKET10 to get an additional 10% off right now. What do you think about that, Matt? Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Sign me up.
There you go. Yeah, no, this is a great tool. And especially if you're, like me, starting to go to trade shows and, maybe you don't want to touch everybody's cards or shake a ton of hands, which is totally fine. I get it. This is a great way. You can do it all seamlessly, all wirelessly, and there's no more fumbling with cards and messing around with all that stuff. So head over to winlocal.com, get your share card all set up. They'll take care of you. Use the sign-up code ROCKET10 at checkout, winlocal.com. All right. Now, with all that, I'm going to welcome my guest in the Rocket Virtual Studio, Mr. Matt McTaggart from the Graphix Spot. How are you, Matt? Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. And this has been a long time coming, man. We've been talking about getting you on the show. And, as normal, it's like, hey, you're a busy business owner. And, trying to schedule on our humble little show is always tough, when you've got a lot going on. But really happy to have you on here. And you've got, you and I connected about a year or so back, which is so funny that we only connected like a year ago, because when you and I started talking, we were like, oh, we got this person in common and this person in common and these clients in common. And it just became like, how is this like, we've like literally like just missed each other. Like, it's insane. We have so many people in common. So it's nice that we can finally have had the chance to sit down, connect, talk, and get to know each other over the time. But you've got a really cool story. I mean, you're a pro snowboarder, you're a creative professional, designer, you're business owner, entrepreneur, um, and just an all around cool guy. How do you handle all that? How do you how do you possibly deal with all this?
Well, thank you, Chris. I want to start off by clarifying a former professional. Okay.
No, you're always pro. Always once a pro,
Now,
always a pro, buddy.
you want to know what the difference is between a pro and an amateur is a check mark when you fill out the paperwork. Okay.
There you go.
So it costs a little bit more to be a pro, but that's the difference.
You earned that check mark. You
That's
earned
it. Yeah, I did. I used to compete. I used to travel. I grew up in Vermont, so it was just in my blood to snowboard, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, running a business, it is full time. It's hard to ever turn it off,
Yeah.
But it's a lot of balancing, a lot of juggling, but it is so worth it. It is so worth it, especially when you get to the point where you meet good folks like you and you meet a lot of like-minded ones, and you get opportunities like this to just get a little more exposure and kind of tell your story and get out there more. It's really fun. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, it's amazing like where life takes you, the journey that happens. You start off in one spot and you're like, man, I could do this forever. Like, and then, like, hey, circumstances happen, life happens, and it's sort of like leads you just down the road of maybe what you're actually supposed to be doing, and it's so hard to see like what you're doing at that time. And and it's not that you can't do multiple things either. I mean, people can do as many things as they want, but where you necessarily start out isn't always wind up being where you presently are, and then where you're going to go like 10, 15 years from now. So it's definitely the entrepreneurial journey is definitely a fascinating and mysterious one.
Yeah. And it goes fast. It goes fast. I started this company in 2015, and I feel like that was a few months ago.
Yeah.
We're going on 7 years, and it's like, wow, time flew. And it's been a great time. Honestly, it's been a great time. The first couple of years, Chris, like any entrepreneur, like any young business, it takes time. No matter what anybody said, it doesn't happen overnight. It just doesn't. And if it does, you're very rare. Good for you. But it does. It takes a lot of time, sleepless nights. But when you get this little spot, and when you get over that spot, man, it's awesome. It is awesome.
It really is. It truly is. It's one of those things. I mean, they really tell you it's true. I mean, the harsh reality of it is it is very true. Like most businesses that start up don't even make it out of year one. It's like 80 or 90% of businesses don't even make it out of year one. And then to make it to year 5, the stats are even more against you. And it's not what, and it's, by the way, if you make it to year 5, it's not that you're in the clear, but you're sort of over the hump, but then you're just dealing with the next challenges, which is usually growth, scalability, that whole thing, hiring people, like, like all of a sudden, like, wow, there's employees here. I actually have to like, deal with that now. It's not just me like doing everything and like putting in all the hours. Now there's actually people I need to take care of.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because our year 5, we had an awesome party planned. We were going to have a DJ. We were going to have food. We're going to invite all of our clients and colleagues and family and friends. My wife and I were so excited about this. And the year was 2020. So that was our 5th year in business. Everything went down and we were like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So I'll give you like the quick version of how we were able to get through the toughest time in almost every business that I know. The pandemic hit. We focused the business on working in commercial spaces and specifically modern office spaces. It's kind of weird. When I started, we did everything. We did car wraps, we did t-shirts, we did pens, we did anything we could print, we were involved in. And I started saying, well, listen, I'm just going to get swallowed up like every other shop or just be another bid or just the same. So what can I do that's different? So I started looking at other companies, what they were doing. There were some large companies doing this specific office space thing, as I call it.
Yeah.
But there weren't medium to small companies doing it. So I really put a lot of energy into it, right? So for years, I'm like the office space guy. We put up reception signs and glass frosting and wall murals and just in office spaces. Then the pandemic hits and offices are closed. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, okay, now what? So like everybody, you just scratch your head and you were like, what am I going to do? So luckily in New Jersey, the governor said these are businesses that are vital, right? And printing was on the list.
Hmm.
So right away, I was just like, what are we going to do? We have to pivot. So we have all the equipment. I knew how to print really anything, any kind of sign. So we said, let's do it. So right away, there was a market for the safety signage.
Right.
So graphics that go on the floor. I mean, you go to Dunkin', you go anywhere. It says, stay safe, 6 feet apart. Here's how to wash your hands. So we quickly pivoted and made our services available to existing clients who are getting ready for people to come back to the office, which didn't happen for a while. And we just made ourselves available with that stuff. And, Chris, it was crazy. It kept us going. It kept my team happy, kept us in business. And we're really turning the corner now. And people are starting to go back in the offices. Even if it's not full time, they still have a place to go. And we make it look cool. We put up the really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, you guys do really awesome work, and I'll bring it up on screen. So for those of you watching the video version of this, I'm going to be bringing up Matt's website in a little bit, and we'll see some of his work that he's doing. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, make sure you use the link in the show notes to go over and watch the video version. But what I wanted to just back up a little bit before we get into that, because you do great work, and the work I see. So I you and I have, even though I wasn't a snowboarder, you and I have very similar backgrounds in the sense of like sort of the scene that we both came up in, definitely the punk rock and hardcore scene, and like, between snowboarding and skateboarding, like there's a lot of intersectional stuff there with the music and the culture. And I notice a lot in your art, even as professional as it gets, of some of the other things that you do. I could see where your influences come from and how you've carried that over into your profession and making it look very professional and on brand for a lot of these companies that you work with. But why don't you just talk a little bit about that, though, because I want to hear a bit, like, so you were a snowboarder, professional snowboarder, right? And at some point you were already involved in graphic arts and being art and creative, or was that something that was that in tandem with snowboarding? Were you always like that, or is that something that developed post snowboarding?
So yeah, I always grew up around art. I had an uncle that was an artist. My parents were very artistic. It was never a drive like you have to get into this
Right.
industry. Actually, I grew up in the home improvement industry, and then found myself in a couple different places. But snowboarding is expressive, and that's what I loved about it. It's
Yeah.
your own style, and snowboarders have their own style, their own definitive style. A trick is a trick, but you put your own stamp on it, the way that you do it. And there are snowboarders like Terry Hawkinson, who does a method like no other rider in the world. That's
Mhm.
his style. So yeah, I really loved it in that asset. That snowboarding got to be creative and do my own thing and have my own signature style. And it was a lot of fun. I got to travel with it. I got to go to many, many mountains throughout the country. I got to go to Switzerland. I got to go to the Italian Alps. I've been to a lot of places and met a lot of great people and had a lot of fun. And the coolest part about it is when I stopped snowboarding, competing, I was
Mhm.
able to coach. I was able to give back to kids.
That's
You know,
cool.
I coached a couple of programs, and then I was really fortunate to coach one kid in particular and train him up. And he's like one of the top in the world right now. So
That's awesome.
very, very, very rewarding. And the story about how it's linked, Chris, is
Yeah.
one of my good friends who competed as well. He did really well. Did the X Games, got medals, did a lot of things that I didn't. And he owned a construction company. And when he stopped competing, he was doing construction and he needed to get all of his vehicles lettered. So he was trying
Okay.
to find somebody in Vermont to get somebody to do them, and there was no good shops in town. So him and I being friends, he's like, "Hey Matt, I think I'm going to buy these machines and figure out how to do it myself. You want to be part of this?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I was at a transition anyways. So we bought the machines, got a little bit of training, started figuring it out, and we did all of his trucks.
Mm.
Well, everybody in town started asking us, "Jason, where are you getting your trucks done? These look great. Who's doing them?" And we
Right.
said, "Well, we're doing them." So there comes an opportunity, right? If it's hitting you in
Yeah,
the face, you got to go for it.
there it is.
So we started a Southern Vermont sign company, and we just did vehicle graphics and stuff. And, as soon as I started doing that, obviously you reach out to your friends, your colleagues,
Mhm.
my people I used to compete with and train with and snowboard, and jump forward to the Graphix Spot in 2015. The first thing I did, Chris, was network. Just reach
Right.
all my buddies at Burton, all my friends at Capita Snowboards, 32, all the companies I knew, reached out to them. Hey guys, I got a company and it's mine. What can we
Yeah.
do together? So that's how it happened.
And that's the beauty of it, man. That's where you start, right? I mean, you were really smart with that is, start to leverage the relationships that you've already built. I mean, they're right there. And unless you ask or you put yourself out there in that way, you can't assume people are just going to hand you over work or that they're always going to ask you like, "Hey, what are you into now?" Like, it's just not how it works. I mean, some people will, but it's like an off chance thing. And it's, you know what? And for everybody out there watching and listening, like, it's okay to ask. Like, if you're coming from a really good, genuine spot of asking, for help or for an introduction or, just letting somebody know what you're up to and who you're looking to meet, people are willing to step up to the plate and help you out. Like, don't, but you can't make the assumption that they're just going to give it to you because people are not mind readers. And no offense to the mind readers out there, the few, the ones that exist out there, but most people haven't mastered the ability to read one's mind yet. So I know I certainly haven't. So so I have to ask. but that's it. But you did it, and that's a big lesson. I think that which everybody I'm sure he's learned. If anybody starts a business, is that start with the relationships you have, the people the people
Yeah.
you like and trust, and and ask for help.
Yeah, and that's it. It's not being afraid to ask and just
Mm,
taking the step. You know, um,
yeah,
it, it's it seems harder than it is. It's walking into some place and handing out your card and introducing yourself. A
yeah.
lot of times it's received so well because people are looking for that service or they're looking for that. But until you take that step, I mean, they're not just going to call you. They're just not. It's changed.
Yeah, it's always about timing, man. Timing is everything. And just because they don't need you today doesn't mean they're not going to need you tomorrow or 2 days from now or 6 months from now. But that's okay. It's all right. The fact is that you did it and you planted the seed or you asked or you put yourself out there and you let somebody know what it is you're doing. It comes back to you at some point. You just don't know when always. And sometimes right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to share the website really quick. So once again, for those watching live, you guys will get to see this. If you're listening to the audio version of this, I'm sorry, but you can watch the video version of this. Just use the link in the show notes and you'll be able to see what we're looking at. But because, what Matt does is so visual. I mean, it's all visual. I wanted to be able to have the opportunity here to go through some of his work and just showcase it a little bit and have him talk through it. But so I'm on your website here, which for those listening, it's the graphixspot.com. That's the and then GRAPIXPHIX, sorry, PHIX spot.com. It is in the show notes, so you'll be able to click on it and get right to his website. And I've been bringing it up here on the video as we've been going here. But yeah, so Matt, walk us through a little bit of the site here and what you got going on.
Thank you, Chris. So yeah, this is just the top of our site. The header is interior solutions for the modern space. That's our niche.
Mm,
We're large format printers. We have the machines cutting, die cutting, routing. We make all kinds of stuff, but we really focus on the modern office space.
right.
Right there is like kind of our services. These are our most popular thing: wall graphics and murals, glass frosting, dimensional signage. Look at these cool things. We fabricate these and we make these here in Bud Lake, New Jersey. We're making over 80%. We are fabricating here under our roof, which is we're really proud of that we can make this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool, and I've had the good fortune of actually being at your place. So I can say for firsthand, I've seen it. I've seen the machines. I've seen them creating these graphics. It's
Yeah,
very cool. So
yeah,
so if you're local to the area, definitely set up an appointment with Matt and go take a tour.
yeah. Happy to have you come by. So this is a really cool point I want to
Mm,
bring out. We partner with agencies.
okay.
We are the partner to creative agencies, branding agencies, marketing agencies. A lot of times they're doing the creative end of it and employing us to bring it to life, to make it tangible, to put it on the walls, to make the signage. So that's kind of where we fit in the market. We offer design services, of course. If a client comes to us and they have nothing, amazing designers on staff. But where we really have our niche, Chris, is partnering. I mean, you can see some of the brands that we've been very fortunate to work with in a short amount of time. And Chris, every one of those logos that you see is from a referral. A referral, Chris.
And there you go.
Again. If you're listening, it's a referral. That's how things happen. It's networking, and it's meeting people, and it's second and third and fourth tier, and putting good energy out there, and referrals.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. I mean, this is exactly how you build a business. You know, obviously doing great work is a huge part of it, but you know, really taking the step and taking the leap and developing those relationships and leveraging those relationships. That's really key to building really any business. But yeah, man, this is great stuff. I love the Nickelodeon stuff is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's fun. Very fun. I mean, it's I'm very lucky. It's very fun work. You know?
Well, I mean, you get to create and do what you love for a living. So, you know, when that's happening, it's it doesn't even really feel like work.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really cool stuff. So hopefully everybody who's watching is getting a chance to look at this. And for those of you listening, please go over and watch the video version, so that way you can check it out, or you know, just go over on the website yourself, thegraphicspot.com. Use the link in the show notes and get access to it. It's that easy. It's that simple. And then you can talk to Matt and you can connect with him and all that, and you guys can talk snowboarding and design.
Yeah, music, graphics.
So tell me, what was your favorite snowboarding experience? Do you have a favorite mountain?
I do. Okay, hands down. And I've ridden everywhere. I've been fortunate to snowboard everywhere. I will say Breckenridge, Colorado is the best.
Okay.
It's the best. I mean, Mammoth is up there. Big Bear is up there. The Alps are up there. But there is nothing like Breckenridge, Colorado. I'm not getting paid for this. I swear.
Yeah.
It is that good.
The check's not in the mail.
It's the best of everything. It's the best of everything. You've got bumps if you want. If you're into skiing bumps, you've got backcountry. You've got amazing parks, half pipe. The sun is on your face all the time.
That's great.
It's amazing. Breckenridge definitely is my favorite. Best experience probably when I used to take the kids to nationals at Copper Mountain, which is near Breckenridge. And it was just a blast, just so rewarding to see them compete and do well. You know, I had more fun doing that than when I was competing myself, to be honest. You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, now you're coach, man. So it's a different experience for sure. And you're living vicariously through them, and you know, you want to see them succeed. I mean, you've been coaching them, so it kind of all pays off right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah, but a lot of good times. I mean, growing up in Southern Vermont, I was very lucky. I grew up, I learned at Mount Snow, and then I would ride Mount Snow, Stratton, Killington, you know, Sugarloaf. We go up, you know, all the good spots, Sugar Bush, just, you know, all over the Northeast. And then it's funny, Chris. So we call it the ice coast. So if you learn on the ice coast where it's hard and cold and freezing, and you learn out here, especially if you learn in New Jersey, and then you go to the beautiful West Coast and you try it when it's sunny and it's soft and it's perfect, you're going to be better than everybody.
There you go. So yeah, it's all about the rough terrain.
It is.
The cruel, unforgiving terrain will make you harder and better.
That's right. East Coast.
Yeah, it's like when Rocky was training in Rocky 4, and he was out in the wilderness, like training in the snow and doing all that stuff, while you know, Ivan Drago's like in the lab and getting injections and everything's hooked up to him, and you know, Rocky's chopping wood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of good times, man. A lot of good times. I still try and get out there, not as much as I used to, and you know, full time with this company. You know, I hadn't been able to coach, so I've really just, you know, put my energy into this. But I still get out with some friends and, we'll take some laps and enjoy it a little bit. I haven't done some trips in a while. I mean, nobody's really traveled much in the last
Yeah.
couple of years. So I haven't done any big trips, but, we'll see what happens down the road.
It could be in the cards.
That's right.
That could be in the cards. So we did have a comment come in.
Okay.
So I want to just acknowledge it. So Andrea Hypes, Matt is a great guy to work with within the print industry.
Oh, thank you, Andrea.
Look at that.
Appreciate it. I've actually known Andrea for years. She's one of our top suppliers for media that we buy to print on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very cool. So yeah, there you go. Some checking in there for you. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, because I don't want to, I know we're getting short on time, so I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I do want to talk with you too about, because, one of the things I deal with a lot is, working with a lot of creative professionals. That's my main thing, where I'm working with a lot of creatives and helping them through running their businesses, trying to grow their businesses, we were just talking a lot about networking, relationship development. And I know, for some folks, that's not always the easiest thing in the world to do, is to talk to folks. So it's, it's always about finding your own way and what works for you, and how to do that and how to develop that kind of business. But I think, for a lot of people, listen, you started off it was just you, right? I mean, it was pretty much you and your wife when you guys started the business. I mean, and it's grown into now that you have employees and things like that. So I think what I just want to hear from you a little bit, and maybe what others who may be listening to this, who might be in that other stage where they're trying to get to the point where you're at now, what would you tell them, especially in this industry, right? The creative side of things is just a little different than other industries that people are in. What would you tell someone right now who's trying to maybe get through that first 5 years and they're trying to grow and take things to the next level?
My really important advice is to honestly go for it full time. There's a lot of people that try to do both, or hang on to a job that they're at and then work on a business, maybe a little bit, and try to do both. And I really feel like it's impossible. And I was at a spot, I was at an agency, and I really wanted to start this company on my own. And I sat with my wife and I was like, I think I can do it. And she, of course she was supportive. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll do it on the side here and there. You can't. You have to go all in, and you have to be prepared to take some steps back, but go all in, put all of your energy into it, and it will be worth it. And especially in the creative world, and I've learned this, Chris,
right?
Partner with people, because there's nobody that does everything. And you know what? I have competitors, but I have more friends than competitors. So there's a lot of companies similar to mine or offer print services, whatever. We're friends. Yeah. We get along. So if you're a creative professional and you want to get into it and you're like, oh, there's way too many graphic designers, there's way too many marketing companies, I do websites, but these big website, partner with them. Introduce yourself. They maybe can throw you work that they don't want, or you can give them things that aren't a fit for you, and work together, because it's a big industry and there's a lot of work out there. There's a lot of work. So don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, that's really great advice. That's really good advice, because I agree with that. The collaboration and partnerships with other creatives, other creative professionals is key. I mean, I've done it my entire career. I still do it to this day. And it's big, and because you can't do it all, but it's the things that happen is that, you become resources for one another. And that's so key in growth stages, being able to tap into the resources that, the strengths that you each provide. And listen, there's enough business to go around. There really is. And it's much better off to have, be surrounded by like-minded people who are like you, who have the same, core values and beliefs, and also quality of work, and just get it, as opposed to just trying to plow through it yourself, drive yourself nuts, and maybe even lose the client because of it, because you just, didn't do it as good as you could have. So definitely find others to collaborate with and partner with. I think that's a great message.
Yeah. And go for it. Don't be afraid. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
There it is. There it is. Words of wisdom from Mr. Matt McTaggart. I love it. No, this was great, man. I really appreciate you hanging out today and sharing and dropping some dropping some gems on everybody and sharing some of your story. No, it's really wonderful. And I think that, once again, and I have so many people that come on the show that talk about, and for those that are regular listeners, I mean, you hear it, you hear and listen to the different people that come on the show from the different backgrounds, and they're all at different stages in their business, whether they're doing it on their own or they have a bigger team, and everybody's got a great story to share. And that's the thing is, when people come on and share the stories, we all get better, we all listen, and it's nice to hear it. And then this is the thing where I always talk about, like, you're not alone in your journey. It often feels like it, but you're not. Like, I believe me, you're not alone. There's always people out there to talk to about any of these things. And that's why I always say, hey, make sure you connect with the guests. That's why I put their contact information on LinkedIn. Definitely connect with everybody, because, the people I bring on are really good people. And, if you ask them nicely, you may get some help. So any final words, Matt, before we sign off today?
No, I just want to thank you personally for doing this. I love what you're doing now, Chris.
Thanks.
You bring so much value to the industry, and it's your turn now. You're giving back. You got so many years out there in business, and this is really cool what you're doing. And
thanks.
I reached out to you and said one of my goals this year was to do more speaking engagements and get out there more, because I stay behind the scenes a lot.
Yeah.
And you're a big advocate. You're the brand. You got to get out there, and people want to work with you. So something new for me is doing interviews like this and getting out there and just letting people know, who the face is behind the company. And, hopefully exposure will help the company grow, and we can build a bigger team and put more products out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another thing. If you want to book Matt McTaggart on your podcast, because I know there's other podcasters that listen to this, hit him up, because he wants to do it and he needs to do it. So hit him up. Coach Chris. Yeah, you need Matt McTaggart on your next podcast. Hit him up, and he'll come on and he'll talk about snowboarding. And we didn't even talk about punk rock. We didn't even get into all that stuff. But we kind of touched on it a little bit, but we'll save it for the next time.
All right, the next time.
Yeah. And sign-ins, all the cool things you create. So definitely get Matt on your show. All right. Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate you coming on today. Thanks for your time. And I want to thank everybody who is watching and hanging out with us live today. Thanks for the comments to come in. Thanks for all the little likes I see coming through. I really appreciate it. Definitely a few ways you can really help support the show and support me. One is to like, share, follow, subscribe wherever you are watching this or listening to this podcast. That really helps the show grow. Of course, sharing it out too also not only helps me, but it also helps the guests I have on the show. Also, if you feel so inclined, you can head over to Buy Me a Coffee and choose a level that you feel comfortable with, because, every little bit helps. It helps pay the bills around here, because this show doesn't always run on hopes and dreams. Sometimes you just need a little bit of money to keep things going. So feel free to head over to Buy Me a Coffee /CVaglio. All the links are in the show notes. And please support my show sponsors. Of course, I am talking about Kerry Zarb, podcast marketing coach. Head over to kerryzarb.com /simple to access all of her awesome podcast marketing tools. And of course, support WinLocal.com. Head over there, use the code at checkout Rocket10 to receive a discount off of your subscription for ShareCard. And I'm telling you, it's worth every dollar. So is Carrie. They both are. So they're both out there, both helping people with their great products. So please show them some love and support. And with that, make sure you connect with my bud here at Matt McTaggart. All his contact info is in the show notes and video description below. Go visit the Graphix Spot. Get him on your podcast. Get a sign put into your office. Let Matt do it. It'll all be great.
Thank you.
Or if you want to construct that big Nickelodeon thing.
We can print you another one of those.
Right. Just to have it. It just looks awesome. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. And we will see you next time. And remember, always be authentic, always be yourself, and always remember to rock it. See you guys.